Mabuhay, this is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. This is a channel about marriage to a woman from the Philippines, like I did. I got married back in 2015, and I found an interesting comment here on my YouTube channel, so I want to get rid of this pesky pop-up and get the gist of it here. It's about, it's talking about what percentage of women would stay with a guy, if he lost his job, lost his income, and they're saying as long as he can provide the lifestyle they're looking for, well, they'll probably stick around, but it doesn't mean that they actually love him because she's sticking around. And that's true. Marriages can stay together without necessarily having it be for love. But the part I want to talk about today is the man losing his income and the Filipina staying with him. Do you think she's going to stay with you? Have you ever done that? You married a Filipina and you're wondering, what if I lose my job? How big of a factor was that to her when she married me? How big of a factor is it if something happens to me? So please leave a comment about this. I try to cover as many different things as I can about relationship with a Filipina. And a lot of things happen that you don't plan on, like losing your job. If a man is younger and he's married to a younger woman, I don't know, 30 years of age, and that could be, and they're living in the West, and he's more hireable at that age, and he has more time to make up that temporary lost income because he's younger than somebody that's older. If a man is 60 years old and he loses his job, and it's going to be a lot tougher to find something. It's going to be harder to hire because of his age, and having to retrain somebody, that's all part of it. A lot of businesses say, well, it's going to take a couple years to train somebody, and they're already 60, 61, 62. We're not interested. Maybe that's discriminatory. I don't know. I don't know what those rules are. But if a guy is older, it can be tough to find a replacement job. And even if he did, it may not pay as much. So he may still have a job, a different job, and it might matter to her. I mean, you should probably ask these sorts of questions. I know you don't want to, but you probably should ask, what happens if I get, sick or incapacitated, or if I get cancer? What happens if I lose my job? Here's what I make, here's how long I've been working, but people do get laid off. My wife's a supervisor. Their place just laid people off, a bunch of them. Where she used to work just laid people off. Where I worked for 40 years, had not laid off anybody when I was there. And then a while back, they had to lay off some people too. So it can happen, and so it doesn't hurt to bring that up. What happens if I lose my job? Now, in my case, I had worked there for 40 years, and it was a medical thing. I wasn't planning on losing my job. I didn't want to lose my job, but I was 58, and when it became evident I wasn't going to be working, my wife said, "Well, just retire. Don't try to go back and work somewhere. It's okay. I'm working," she said, and she has worked for basically the whole time she's been here, since 2016. It's 2024 now. She said, "That's fine. We're doing okay. I've had money in the retirement, But she said, don't go and work." But again, the difference there is we still had money and we could still have a certain standard of living. But she wasn't offended when I lost my job, and she didn't order me to go find something, anything, anywhere. There's more I can say about that, but that's all I want to say right now. If you have assets when that happens, if you're older and you could retire if you wanted to, and you bring a Filipina over, well, if it's not going to make a huge difference and your house is paid off, maybe your car is paid off, well, maybe you can lose your job and it's not going to affect her. Maybe it wouldn't affect her anyway. Maybe it would. So it's one of those things you might just have to talk about when you talk about how secure is this relationship? How committed are you to me? Because these things can happen. We all know people argue plenty about money in their marriage. We certainly have. And losing one's job is tough, I think, mentally, emotionally, everything for a guy, because so much of our, I guess our, what's the word I'm trying to say? It means a lot to us. We lose our job, it hurts us deeply. It's just like part of us is our job. We've become accustomed to going there, and to not have it is rough. It's like something died. I mean, unless you didn't like your job. And so this is something, talk about it. See what she says. She's probably going to say, oh, of course I'll be with you. But who knows? It's just one of those things. Marriage is risky business. I would never say don't get married just because it's risky. When you have bad weather like we've had, it's risky just to go get your mail. You could break a bone. You could crack your head open getting your mail, and there's nothing but a sheet of ice out there, and for a whole week solid. And life is risky. Relationships are risky. So if you did lose your job and you could find another job, you'd file for unemployment, which would give you something until you would be able to see if you could get hired somewhere else. And she probably would be perfectly fine if you filed for unemployment and told her what the situation was and kept looking for work. I don't think, this is another video, I don't know if I'm going to make it or I made it already. I think Filipinas and most women just want their husband to be, into his work, take it seriously, don't bring it home with him, but do his best and like his job. And so I think there is still potential for the Filipino to stay with a man if he loses his job. And some of you will have the opposite experience. I hope not, but please leave a comment here about this rather painful and controversial topic here today on love beyond the sea.